You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nubs. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still lights of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry armed women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Key, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
I'm talking about shout it going crazy. People going crazy in these motherfuckers. Run that shit back, man.
But it means nothing. Nothing about a woman on a day. Man made the car. Man made the train to carry the heavy load. Man made the electric light to take us out of the dark. Man made the bump of the water like the 7-millimeter. Man thinks about a little bit of baby girl and a baby boy. And man make them happy because man make them dark. But after man make everything we can, do you know that man makes money? To buy from other men. This is a man's world. But
Greetings, Black family. Greetings.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. The air date of this episode is December 3rd, 2024. Tonight's subject is, how can we rebuild? On this season 9, episode 46 of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced, we will be discussing how can we as a people rebuild, one, economically, micro and macroeconomics. Microeconomics of building our own enterprises, macroeconomics shifting our buying power for ourselves and creating and controlling our own markets and markets worldwide, becoming producers for our own needs instead of consumers of other groups. Other groups selling us essential goods and services is counterproductive to our progress. Reject self-hating ideologies of miseducated scholars who countermand our progress. Please call in with your questions, comments, and concerns. The call-in number is 516-418-5996. Press 1 and you'll be live on the air. This episode is for those 18 years of age and over. This is episode 46 of season 9 of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. This episode is also being simulcasted on StreamYard, YouTube for Frontline Black News. Okay, so we're going to say greetings there to Sister Hep. Also, too, greetings to our Denver audience. Our Denver studio with Brother Che. So how are things going in the Mile High Income City? Man, later for the ponies, man. Them is GMO oats. They giving them in that barn, man. You know, later for the ponies. You know what I'm saying? And Cleveland didn't have a chance anyway. Okay, but however, I'm glad you brought that up in regard, to microeconomics. Now, with us, as a people loving professional sports, I'm just going to use that as a market. How can we control that market and have it, deal with our self-interests? Because remember, the owner of the Commanders who stated that, quote unquote, NGRs don't like to buy the rules that we're playing and stuff like that, form their own league. So yeah, let's put it to the test. Okay, feedback, Sister Heads Up Shoot. And then we have Joe Gibson in as well too, and I believe we have the one and only Mr. AWOL himself, Sarge. Okay, if that's you, Sarge, you're getting hit with Article 15. And then just press 1, and we'll be more than happy to unmute your mic and come on with it. Okay, Sister Hatshepsut. Okay, now what would you figure about item 1 in tonight's podcast of microeconomics of building our own enterprises, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Peace be unto you, everyone. Sister Hatshepsut Muhammad. I have a business degree where I learned about statistics and other marketing concepts of how to start my own business. So I have two businesses. One of the businesses I have is a seamstress business where I make my own clothing, wrap.
Okay.
My other business I have is a teaching and tutoring business. Now, I learned this not really from the white man schools and the business degrees and all that. I mean, it seemed all that, they're good schools. But I learned this from the Messenger because the Messenger came out with a 3-year economic program. He actually came out with many programs, but the best one that he came out with that helped me was a 3-year economic program. And what that is, you save a certain amount of money, whatever you can per day. If you miss a day, that's all right. Go back and do another day and make it up the next day, even if it's just a few cents a day.
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
in about 3 years, use that money to start your own business or invest something with a business.
Okay.
And or use that money to help you, whatever it is that you need. Like if you need extra food, because right now we need food. Calamities is coming down. The drought is coming. We gonna need food because there's gonna be times we're gonna go in the white man stores and we can't buy anything. Ain't nothing gonna be on the shelf. So we have to do self. That's another program he taught us, doing for self. Unite with each other, not with the white man, with each other. Separate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we got to separate from him. That's another program he taught us. It's a whole process in itself.
Okay.
Next, he taught us what the Muslims want, what the Muslims believe. We'll go into that a little bit later. And he also taught a very significant blueprint called the economic blueprint.
Okay.
And that's on page 174 of Message to the Black Man. And the following blueprint shows this way: recognizing the necessity for unity and group operation activities, because without unity, how can you sell to your own people? You can sell burritos for $1 a pop a day. You can sell anything. Pull your resources physically as well as financially. Stop wanton criticisms of everything that is Black owned and Black operated. Support and patronize your own. Keep in mind, jealousy. He mentions this all the time in his lectures. Jealousy destroys from within. Because you're killing yourself with your own jealousy, and you ain't gonna see yourself succeed in life. Doing your own business, doing the things that you're supposed to do, whatever your plan is for God. You're not gonna see yourself succeed. You know, kill yourself with cancer, being jealous and envious of somebody else. Well, they at home eating their bean soup and cookies, and they ain't worried about nothing that you thinking about. Now, observe the operations of the white man. We're talking, study him because he learned from us first. He is successful. He is successful. Willie Lynch was successful, I'm not going to lie. He makes no excuses for his failures. He works hard in a collective manner, and you do the same. He's telling us to do like he's doing, because one day he ain't going to be here. This is going to be us. If there are Muslims with knowledge or Black people with knowledge and experience of the grocery business, we need our own grocery stores really bad. Pool your knowledge, open a grocery store, and you work collectively and harmoniously. Allah will bless you with success. So that's some of the ideas that didn't come from me, because I ain't the one who's all that. The message is all that come from God. So those are some ideas for economic blueprint and economic creation.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now, also, too, in regard to this, how can we become producers to have other groups patronize us so we can get their money like they've been getting our money? You see what I'm saying? And build for ourselves, okay? And I believe that there is what they would call community investment, is because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure that there's some knowledgeable ones on here who can call in and relate knowledge on that, because I believe one of the elements that the Black Panthers was talking about was that there too, controlling the economics, is because, you know, we still need clothes, we still need essential services for us. There's a high tech, things of that nature right there. You see what I mean? Okay, so we got an unknown caller with their hand up. I think I know who this is. Okay. All right, unknown caller, your mic is unmuted.
Now, I just want you to know before I say anything, I ain't got no degrees. I went to 6 months to Chicago State University, and that's the extent of my formal education. But I got practical experience in running an automobile repair shop in the Black community. I had 8 people, me and my buddy, my Army buddy, we employed 8 people in our business, and we had to participate in the free market in the Black community. So I have experience, even though I've got very little formal education, I have a great deal of experience in the free market system. And I want to tell you something, folks. I hate to tell you this, but it's true. Ain't no two ways about it. There ain't no such thing as Black economics. I mean, you can call it that if you want to, but there are Black people that participate in a free market economic system, and the rules for free market economics are immutable and pertain to everyone, like the forces of gravity and the forces of evaporation. So whatever they are, unless you have a captive market, like to some extent the Nation of Islam had, and to a greater extent, Black businessmen had back during the days of Jim Crow and segregation. They had a captive argument because the Black community was excluded from many of the markets that everyone else could go to.
Okay, like the Black Wall Street. Now, Sarge. Okay,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but I'm saying, but absent that, since that is no longer the case, then that means you have to participate in the same market that everybody else who participates in the free market does, and you are subject to the same immutable, hard and fast rules, basically.
Okay, now, Sarge, guess what? I finally agree with you, man. Mark this date, December 3rd, 2024. Shabaka and Sarge finally can agree on something. See, but here it is, though, Sarge. Okay, we got to become producers and have the world market buy our products. You see what I mean? It's because, as you know, Sarge, what does the American ethos teach? You know, the young collegiate student, the high school student, okay, go to school, get your degree, you know, go learn a skill, trade, or what have you, and go get a job of working for somebody else as opposed to your own. You see, the former heavyweight champion had even mentioned that there, Sarge, is because people was going up to him, well, champ, I'm wanting to learn how to box. He says, well, I'm exceptional. Don't do that. It takes one blow to finish that career. Go up there, man, and build some businesses in the Black communities. We still need doctors. We still need agricultural products. We still need clothes. We still need high tech. You see what I mean? Because, see, every other group, Sarge, is benefiting off of us as opposed to us benefiting off ourselves. And you and I have had this debate many times, and we're going to have it again. Just like with the Montgomery bus boycott proved, Black people stopped riding that bus. They walked to work and school. They took a skateboard, 2 beer cans, and 4 wheels and got there, but they did not ride the bus, Sarge. And the same principle can apply to high tech as well, too. Need some innovators. Same thing with clothes, okay, as sister was saying right there. The same thing with food products, agricultural products. The same thing, too, with capital goods, which are goods and equipment used to produce consumer goods. You see, so we need to control that. Now, Joe Gibson, we see you in there. Please press 1. This isn't hatred. This isn't racism. I'm just speaking economics. Comment, please.
All right. Well, Shabaka, look, I got no essential problem with what you said. But you just made, at the very beginning of your last statement, you said you cut it right to the core and right to the bottom line and got right to the nub of the matter. And that is, how do we get people to buy our goods and services? And it's like anything else you get to buy. You give the consumer value for their money, either in the form of a low price, in the form of superior quality, in the form of better services, or a combination of all three. That's how you get anybody to buy your goods and services. Now, if you want to make an appeal on a racial basis, and you can find enough people who will buy that and go along with it, I guess that might work for you. But I'm telling you, in today's climate, I wouldn't count on that being the main selling point. What I would count on is you selling a quality good or service at a competitive price, which will entice customers to your product. I'll give you an example. Fubu line of clothing, for us, by us. Now, what does that slogan mean? You know what that means? Well, they were pretty successful, but they didn't make their primary selling point the racial angle. You get where I'm coming from? It was style, it was hip. It was being hip and being stylish, and that's what sold it.
Sarge. Okay, Sarge. But at the same token, Sarge, you got to understand the concept of supply and demand, which is a universal.
I already do. Believe me, I understand that thoroughly.
Sarge! That is a lie, Sarge. That is a lie.
You don't think I understand supply and demand?
You said.
Tell me how I don't understand it then.
Sarge, are you familiar with How to Sell to the Negro that came out in 1954?
So now you're going back to 1964 and saying it still applies to 2024?
Yes. There was a
okay, let me hear your argument. Let me hear it then.
There's a video on YouTube, everybody, that you can check out on how to sell to the Negro. So you're wrong, Sarge. They did specifically racially tailor stuff to our people. So when you say, "Oh, capitalism isn't about race, it's anybody has access and all of that," that's a lie, Sarge. That's a lie.
Okay. Wait a minute. Now see what you just did? You just said something I didn't say. What I said was, in fact, I explicitly said in my argument that if you can make an appeal to a segment of your market that is amenable to the racial angle, I specifically just said that.
Okay,
if you can do it, and if it, wait a minute, let me finish, because he misunderstood me totally, apparently. Whatever it takes to sell to your market, that is what a savvy businessman will do. He will study whatever it is his market has a proclivity and an attitude and an interest for, and he will appeal to them on that basis. I just said, if a racial angle will work, then you do it. But
okay, now.
wait a minute. Now, I also said, in today's environment, I do not think that is as strong a selling point as it once might have been.
But Sarge, I beg to differ. Let's turn back the hands of time a little bit. Let's go to Motown.
You're always getting in the time machine.
Sarge. Okay, no, Sarge. Let's go to Motown. And when I say Motown, I'm not talking about Berry Gordy Motown Records. I'm talking about the city of Detroit. Do you know that in the 1960s, is that, what would you call that, Brother Che? Not public relations. Okay, they marketing researchers, and they went to the black consumer and studied his buying habits, and guess what they marketed big time that they still marketing to this day? Cadillacs.
Yep, Cadillacs.
Cadillacs.
And did it work? Did it work?
Oh, it worked.
Well, that's what they were supposed to do if it worked.
Okay, but Sarge, that's
what you're supposed to do if it works.
Okay, Sarge. Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you, man. You're saying 6, I'm saying half dozen and the other. What I'm saying is if we, with our buying power, can go up there and support General Motors and made them one of the biggest auto producer manufacturers in the friggin' world, then surely we could do the same shit for ourselves. Because look at the Asians. They market to themselves. You see what I'm saying? Look at the Hispanic community.
Who buys more Kias than almost anybody else in the world? You kidding? Come on, man.
Say that again.
They market to people who want their product. That's what they market
Sarge.
to.
Okay, but Sarge, I'm not disagreeing with that, but what it is you got what they call segmented markets, Seg as in segregation. In other words, them dudes up there at Cadillac said, we don't like these people anyway, but we damn sure gonna take their money, just like on the plantation system.
You guys got to get off this thing where people love you or not. Who cares if they like you or not? Who cares? We got all kind of people. Look, we got all kind of people in the world who provide resources and people and materials for things who have no knowledge of who they're selling these things to.
But
why are you so hung up on whether somebody likes you or not?
Sorry. That's not what we're saying. You said that they wasn't specifically doing stuff to cater or sell to us.
That's not what I said. Okay. See, you didn't listen to me.
Okay, sorry.
That's why I gotta speak up louder, maybe.
Speak up louder, sorry.
What do you mean? I didn't say that, Jay.
Okay, what did you say?
In fact, I said the opposite. I said whatever it takes to move your audience that is legal to do, you should do to sell your product. Whatever it is.
That was legal. It was legal to tell black people, hey, you can't afford this. This is out of your price range. This is too good for you.
Wait a minute. Look. Once again, if they miscalculate on that, Jay, then they're going to lose business. So look, if you're going to be stupid and not do things that will bring a customer who is capable of buying your product, that is a miscalculation that you have to bear for. That is, look, businesses screw up. Look at Jaguar. There used to be a great car line called Jaguar. Yeah. I'm calling it Jaguar now. Look what they're doing. They're completely misjudging their market, and they're paying for it.
Okay, hold on one second.
Businesses screw up all the time. This is nothing new. What I'm saying is that the laws of the free market are immutable, and they apply to everyone at all times and all places.
Sarge.
Okay, Sarge. Nobody's disagreeing with you. Okay, and then
that's why.
And then also,
it cannot work. It will not work. I mean, what do you
do? Stop the
how? What are you going to do? Have your own separate country? Is that what the goal is? I mean, I don't understand how it's going to work.
No, Joe. Okay, Joe.
Yes.
What it is this. Okay, like what they did with the Black Wall Street, okay, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I visited the Black Wall Street, Joe. They were very, very prosperous. That's why the whites over there in Oklahoma burned it down, because they were making more money for themselves than white folks is going out of business, is because they knew that black people were becoming self-sufficient. You see what I'm saying? That's all that we're saying. So in other words, man, we're saying 6 and 1, half dozen in the other. We're talking about the universal law here of macroeconomics, okay? And what it is that all these other groups come off into our community, make huge money, big money, and what we have is when they don't come into our community, man, you got what they call a trade deficit. Understand, Joe?
Okay, like we're not a separate nation.
Okay, so what kind of system are you going to model this after? Are you going to model this after a system that was already created by the white European or the Jews or what system are you going to use?
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Things, Joe. That's what we're going to model it after.
Look, I want everybody to succeed in the marketplace. I want everybody who sells a legitimate product to succeed in the marketplace. And that certainly includes black people. But I don't want them to have any false illusions about the imperatives of the free market. They are fixed and basically immutable. They've been established for millennia. It's not this. Look, you think free marketism just came around since Karl Marx or something? No, free markets have been around. The Chinese were the biggest practitioners of the free market system, not the Europeans, the Chinese. And they go back thousands of years doing it. And the rules, wait a minute, the rules for them are the same as the rules for everybody today.
No, it's not.
Okay, but Sarge.
No, it's not.
But they're getting the raw materials from the continent,
See, you keep changing the subject.
No,
I'm not changing that subject,
Sarge. I'm talking about everywhere. The raw materials. Russia's got a lot of free market resources too. Stop changing the subject. I'm talking about the basic rules. Why do you think the Soviet Union collapsed and went belly up? They were white people. Because they were a bunch of damn communists. That's why. Communism doesn't work. It cannot work because it does not comport the human nature.
Sarge, I never said that it did.
All right, well, I'm saying, you never Africa. Forget Africa or Asia or Europe.
No.
I'm talking about the rules for the free
market. The problem with Africa, Sarge, is that you got these feathers over there and these damn neo-colonialists.
Shabaka, we caught Sarge in another lie. He said that the Chinese were exercising capitalism. That's a lie. Capitalism originated in the 16th century, Sarge, as a result of the industrialization in England and mercantist practices in Europe. The Industrial Revolution of the 18th century established capitalism as a dominant ethnic system, characterized by factory work and a division of labor. Here are some other factors that contribute to the development of capitalism. The late Middle Ages, a conflict between the land-owning aristocracy and serfs, or agricultural producers, inhibited the development of capitalism. The rise of urbanism, Sarge. Cities became centers of industry and trade, becoming more economically important. Mercantile capitalism, a global phenomenon where merchants would borrow money to buy goods, resell them at profit, and then pay back the loan with interest. Joint stock companies, created by merchants in the Netherlands and Britain in the 17th century. These companies financed larger trade missions and spread the risk of international trade. The word capitalism comes from the French word capitalisme, which was originally used to describe British problems like war finance and lending money to the French royal government, Sarge. Nothing about the Chinese.
Okay, let me say back again what I said. I didn't say capitalism because capitalism involves investment. That's what basic capitalism is. You have capital and you invest it toward an economic objective. That's a very oversimplification. That's basically what capitalism is. Capital used to further development by economic means. Now, I said free market. Marco Polo, in his travels along the Silk Road, described the thriving free market on the Silk Road by Chinese merchants. What we have today is a combination of capitalism with the free market. It's like a combined system.
Okay,
so just you don't miss the forest. Don't miss the forest for the trees.
Okay, Sarge. Okay, we're saying half dozen and 1/6.
No, we're not. We're saying you got to include both elements. You can't leave one.
No.
The problem is in the United States.
No, Sarge, you're not gonna get away with that one. While often used interchangeably, a free market economy is considered a more extreme form of capitalism, Sarge, where the market operates with minimal government intervention, relying solely on supply and demand to set prices, whereas capitalism is a broader economic system where private individuals own the means of production, but can still include some level of government regulation in the markets, depending on the system. Essentially, a free market is the key aspect of the fully liaison fair capitalist system.
Yeah, in other words, laissez-faire capitalism. Okay, it's Smithsonian economics of Adam Smith's invisible hand theory.
Yes. Okay. Now, has the free market evolved? Yes. Like in aviation, we went from propeller-driven aircraft to jet-powered aircraft, but they're still aircraft. What I'm saying is that capitalism, in the strictest sense of the word, involves the investment of some sort of capital that you apply to the free market. The free market is the action of competing with other people for goods and services. So you get a combination of the two. And that's what I'm trying to see. The point I'm trying to get across is that rather than this mania for racial allegiance in free marketing, what you've got to look at is what makes people buy your goods and services, whatever that is.
Okay, sorry.
That's what you got to look at first and foremost. Look, people came to my business because we, in the region, in the area I was working in, we had a reputation for delivering excellent service, and nobody would come back to us when we fixed their car. And we gave them a good price. And if we did do something wrong, we would fix it promptly and get it back, the car back out of the shop again. That's why we compete, because we were able to compete because we provided services at a competitive price of high quality. And we didn't worry about what the race of the person coming to our car was, and we advertised far and wide in the city of Chicago. It cost us a great deal of money. And people came all over Chicago to bring their cars to us.
Yeah, Sarge, I'm familiar with Wachowski's.
Okay, so I'm trying to explain this to you.
I'm familiar with Wachowski.
We had 8 black people working for us. And me and my buddy, that makes 10 black people working for us in our business. Making a decent salary, and when they did overtime, they made it even better. Hell, I didn't make all that much money out of the enterprise because I was working as a cop, and I only do it part-time. My Army buddy, was the guy who ran the business day to day for the most part. I didn't make all that much money, but the people who were working in our shop were able to make a living and support their family.
Okay, now, Sarge, see, the point is, everything you're saying right there, Sarge, is correct, because I was a business major, okay? You know what I'm saying? Back when I had my memory, man, but senility is starting to catch up with me. Don't laugh, Joe. Don't laugh, Sarge and Joe. It'll happen to you, too. You live long enough, you'll get old, you know what I'm saying? And then when you get old, you're going to start losing your friggin' mind, okay? Now, the point is, what I'm saying is, you mentioned do for us, by us. Okay, that's great. That's beautiful of what he's doing. Now, also, too, what the entrepreneur ought to do in the black business is target those who have a desire to succeed, who is trying to do the right thing to countermeasure all this self-destruction in the black community. Now, Joe, that answers your question, man, that you and I, but how long you and I have been acquainted, Joe? 5, 6 years now, I think. Joe, Earth calling Joe. Earth calling Joe. Okay, well, Joe, your mic is on mute. Feel free to jump in. Okay. The point is, Sarge, is what it is that we got to become producers, you see what I'm saying, instead of being consumers. And just like what the sister was saying right there, okay, because we in the black community, we go spend our money with everybody else, you see what I'm saying, except ourselves. And we got a 703, last 3075, the hand is up, okay. 703, you're on the air, okay. And what's your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Michael Penn. I'm calling from Virginia.
Okay, hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Okay, I guess I'll make it for an old so-and-so, you know what I'm saying? Okay, Michael, so what's on your mind?
Yeah, a lot of things are on my mind. You know, speaking with you guys, I was listening to what you guys said earlier, and I know you guys had a debate about Black Wall Street doing for self, and I totally understand the necessity for rebuilding or reviving the Black Wall Street, because after slavery ended, and you know, the 40 meals an acre were supposed to happen, but you guys never see 40 meals in an acre. And also the land grants, the homestead, you guys were granted for 1 week. Unfortunately, it went to the European settlers who did not pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, pass on generational wealth to the kids, great-grandkids, and they never hired people who don't look like them. So I understand why the Black Wall Street's a necessity, because a lot of Black Americans went through a lot of discrimination, Jim Crow, segregation, you know, theft, outside land theft, destruction of property, not giving, all that. Right, opportunity to, you know, build wealth after slavery, and the reparations went to the slave holders as opposed to going to the ex-slave.
Yes, sir, you are correct about that. In addition to, Michael, not cutting you off, I'm going to say this here. And as you do know, that the Federal Reserve of the United States of America got started by the systemic theft of the Freedmen's Bureau and the Freedmen's Bank. You are aware of that, correct?
Correct, yes. I'm aware of the Freedmen's Bureau that was established for the exiled Black slaves, so they could do for self, build their own businesses, build their own schools.
The Federal Reserve was started by J.P. Morgan, Warburg, Carnegie. Those were the guys that started the Federal Reserve.
Okay, but also, on paper, but also too, Joe. But that money that J.P. Morgan and Rockefellers and all that had accumulated came from the Freedmen's Bureau Bank. That's where they had got that.
That too.
Right.
That too. So that is pretty much where they got the seed money from. And then also too, Joe, and you and I, we disagree, and we'll probably disagree again, but at least you and I disagree agreeably. Okay, so what had happened, Joe, that would have stayed off in the Black community, so we could have been reinvesting off into ourselves. Okay, now as Brother Chad pointed out, with his wisdom is that when a lot of the slaves were brought here, a lot of them were creators and innovators, you see what I mean? And then they came up with something called the U.S. Patent Office, which was stealing it, all the ideas from us. This is why a lot of the goods and services cannot get patents due to discrimination, Joe, systemic discrimination, because they do know that once the slave had got knowledge of himself, got knowledge of economics, you see what I'm saying, then he would make an economical shift. Yes, and this is why one of the reasons that I'm not a Trump supporter at all. This is one of the reasons why I'm glad Kamala Harris lost.
So you're saying that all the slaves that were kidnapped from Africa had no education at all?
No, what I'm saying is, no, Joe. The first generation had knowledge of themselves. That's why they resisted. But what had happened is, Joe, is that when offspring, were born here, they were brought up to be permanently ignorant. Listen to the lecture by Malcolm X talking about the house Negro and the field Negro. You see what I mean? By Malcolm X that he said, a million years ago, okay? It might as well be because it's been over 60 years. Okay, now what had happened, Joe, is that white racist supremacists, okay, in your state, in South Carolina, in the great state of Texas, down there in the mud, okay, Louisiana, okay, Mississippi, okay, they said, hey, if these people here start pooling their resources and start acquiring some wealth, we got problems. Now, I'm going to tell you a classic example, man, that did not happen in the South. And this here was in California by a guy by the name of William Leadersdorf. Okay? All right. He was a black man. And then the slave traders that owned his family were Dutch. And then what had happened was that they went up there and they stole his land from him up there in Folsom, California. You see what I mean?
People who were punished under misconduct. I'd like to see that happen.
All right.
Okay, say that again, sister. I'm sorry, Sister Hepset. Could you say that again, ma'am?
That wasn't me, sir.
Who was that talking?
Oh, okay. All righty. Okay, yeah. Well, whoever who said that, could they please repeat what they were saying?
Who was that?
Okay,
so you're saying that the founders of the Federal Reserve, they had no money of their own, no wealth of their own they created. They robbed it all from the slaves and freemen, right?
Yes.
A good portion of it, Joe.
Joe.
But Joe.
Come on.
No, it didn't
Rockefeller was one of the richest men in the world.
Come on. I knew you were going to say, come on, Joe.
Robbing and pillaging. Joe, you got here, Joe. Stop it.
I got a question when I can ask it.
Yes, let's go right ahead.
Thank you very much. Now, I think my Bluetooth's giving me problems. So before I say what I got to say, I want to make sure.
I got one of them raggedy ass
all right, yeah. That's why. Okay. I said that to say I want to make sure I didn't misunderstand anything before I say what I'm about to say. So I want to ask this. Am I hearing the argument that J.P. Morgan bailed out the federal government by robbing assets from the Freedmen's Bureau? Is that what I just heard?
Okay, Brother Che.
J.P. Morgan and the 16 big families, Sarge. Yes, they robbed the money from the Freedmen's Bank.
They took the money from the Freedmen's Bureau to bail out the federal government in the 20th century. That's what you're saying.
No,
that's
Sarge,
what they did.
We're talking in the 19th century, Sarge.
Okay, what year? What year? It's important I understand what year it was.
Okay, from the best of my knowledge.
I'm not going to mischaracterize your argument. I want to make absolutely clear what you're saying before I respond.
Sarge.
I don't want to get anything wrong.
Okay, I'm saying during the Reconstruction era, Sarge. That's what I'm saying. The Reconstruction era, and I believe that there would be the 1870s where you had a friggin' drunk by the name of Ulysses Grant, who was the president. And he stayed loaded.
Yeah, he
was a bozo for real.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, so we're saying that the federal government needed a bailout in the last 3 decades of the 19th century, and in order to get this money, they went to the Freedmen's Bank Bureau Bank and took the money there and did that with it. Is that what you're saying?
They stole the money.
Pretty much, yeah.
Construction.
Huh?
They kept the money until the 19th century. And they used that money that they stole from the Freedmen's Bureau.
Wait a minute. When you said the 19th, you mean the 20th century?
No.
No, Sarge, the 19th century. Come on,
well, the 19th century was the 1800s.
We know that, Sarge.
So they had the money in the 19th century already.
Sarge.
The 20th century starts with 1901. That's when the 20th century started.
God damn.
Sorry.
Reconstruction was after the Civil War. That was the late 1800s. They stole the money in the late 1800s. They used the money that they stole in the late 1800s to create the central banking reserve, the Federal Reserve, in the early 1900s. That's what I'm saying.
But the Federal Reserve doesn't have any money. They don't. Wait a minute.
Hold on, Joe. We're talking about before the Federal Reserve. This all happened before the Federal Reserve even existed. So that's why I'm asking these questions. Now, the budget. Congress passed a budget for the Freedmen's Bureau. It was financed out of the military budget. So that's where they initially financed the Freedmen's Bureau.
The money,
and they created a separate. They didn't take those funds and place them back in the jet. They took
Sarge lies. They used that money to create the bank. They told the freedmen, "Hey, put your money in this bank. It'll be safe. Put the money in the bank," because prior to that, black people were putting the money in the mattress, in the walls, wherever. A bank. They lied to our ancestors.
And particularly the ones too, Brother Che, that were heading westbound too. After that, okay, because they had the gold rush going on, and William Leadersdorf, okay, you know what I'm saying?
And we know that none of the white men had any gold. We know that, right? They stole that too.
Joe. William Leadersdorf, Joe, okay, was a black man, who was imported by the Dutch. That's why he had the slave named Leadersdorf, because as you know, the slave took on the name of the slave master to signify that he was the slave master's property. Okay, so what had happened was that he had gotten married to a white woman, from what I understand, okay, up there in an area called Folsom, Joe. Yeah, Joe, the same place where they got the slammer, where Johnny Cash sung Folsom Prison Blues. Okay, so her family had him divorce her. Okay, Blues Unchained says this is crazy. Calling blues. Okay, so therefore he had went broke. You see what I'm saying? Okay, we got an unknown caller. They got their hand up. Okay, unknown caller. We're unmuting your mic. Okay, don't go nowhere, Joe, because this is getting ready to get juicy. Okay, unknown caller. Okay, your mic is unmuted. Feel free to call with your comments, please. And what's your name and where you calling from, unknown caller?
This is the unknown caller.
Ron,
I'm calling from Missouri.
Okay, all right.
Is this Ron Record Blues on?
Oh man, you guys are on a good topic tonight.
Look.
Yes, sir.
Hey man,
understanding what I'm saying. I know.
Yeah, man, you guys are all.
Freedmen's Bank there was no Freedmen's Bank in 1913. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913.
I know that. I know.
Yeah, that was Woodrow Wilson that did.
All right, look, I got an answer for all of this when you let me, Shabaka. I'm just letting you know I'm ready for you now.
Okay, Sarge. Ding, ding, ding. Come out, touch gloves.
Now, let Ron say his piece, and then I'll say what I got to say.
Okay, go ahead, Ron, and then.
Oh, no, go ahead, Sarge. I'm cool, man. I'm cool. I'll let you throw out what you got. Go ahead, man.
Okay.
I'm cool. I'm patient.
All right. The Freedmen's Savings Bank was created in 1865. 2 years before that, you had the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. Now, the Comptroller was responsible for supervising the national banks that it chartered, because he had a different kind of banking system during that period of time, including some of them that were in Washington, D.C. Now, under the national banking laws extant at that time, 1865, you couldn't borrow money for real estate lending. It was a prohibition that was enforced by the Office of the Comptroller of Currency Professional Bank Examiners. Now, the Freedmen's Savings Bank, they didn't have any such safeguards. The bank's charter explicitly said that it was not subject to the authority of the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, but only to Congress. That was in the charter. Now, this was problematic because political considerations tainted the bank. That's why Congress had created the OCC as an independent agency that was not funded by congressional appropriation but by fees paid by the banks that they supervise. Now, when the economy hit a depression in 1873, the Freedmen's Savings Bank condition got critical. So Congress asked the OCC just to do a study and assess their prospects. And then they provided an appropriation so they could conduct emergency examinations of what was happening to the deposits in the Freedmen's Bank. So what came back was the precariousness of the bank's position due to bad investments, because no one had been watching over the way the bank was spending its money. The officers of the Freedmen's Bank were incompetent and inexperienced, and they had a guy there named Henry Cook who served on the bank's board and was manipulating everything. He used the assets of the bank to benefit his own family banking business. Now, that I'm going to give you. Now, in 1874, they asked Frederick Douglass to take over the bank, and they hoped that Frederick Douglass could get the bank on an even keel again, because the depositors were getting ready to take the savings out in a panic. But it was too late. And then in June of 1874, the bank trustees decided to shut down the Freedmen's Bank. And the depositors, and there were like almost 62,000 of them, lost $3 million. We talk about $3 million in 1874 money. So, and the depositors only got a share of what was owed them, but it didn't have anything to do with what J.P. Morgan did. Not a damn thing. It was all over and done with in 1875.
So where did that money go, Sarge? If it didn't have nothing to do with that, where did the money go?
It was being invested in real estate, among other things, which was forbidden by the bank's charter. This guy Henry Cook manipulated a lot of the money, and the bank, the people who were responsible for overseeing and managing the bank's deposits, didn't do a very good job of it.
Okay, Sarge. So if it
essentially went bankrupt.
Hold on.
You didn't have an FDIC back then.
Sarge.
Okay, Sarge.
Real estate, then the money was still there. So they could have easily.
No one, they lost it, man. It was lost. Remember, there was no FDIC in 1875.
Okay, sorry.
Lost, sorry.
Okay, let me read this here, Brother Tay. Let me read this right here, gentlemen, please. Just bear with me. It's going to take me about 3 minutes, okay? This is from Wikipedia. The Freedmen's Saving and Trust Company, known as the Freedmen's Savings Bank, was a private savings bank chartered by the U.S. Congress on March 3rd, 1865, to collect deposits from newly emancipated communities. Okay, the bank opened 37 branches. Okay, hold on. Sarge, please let me finish. Okay, if you're right, you're right, man. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the bank opened 37 branches across 17 states and Washington, D.C. within 7 years and collected funds from over 67,000 depositors. At the height of its success, the Freedmen's Savings Bank held assets worth more than $3.7 million in 1872, which translates to approximately $80 million in 2021. Although I kind of disagree with that figure there. I'm going to say more like about $100 million in 2021 because of this high-tech shit. However, the rapid development of the bank was largely driven by false claims and was coupled with mismanagement and fraud. The bank crashed in 1874, weighed down by speculative loans issued by the bank's white officials through its existence. Weighed down by speculative loans issued by the bank's white official, Sarge. White official.
What do you mean? Who do you think they put in charge of shit in 1874? What did I say about Frederick Douglass? Did you hear what I said about Frederick Douglass?
Okay, Sarge, please let me finish. Okay,
all right, well, I'm just saying. That's why they wanted to put Frederick Douglass in charge, because they felt his prestige, the prestige of his name, would lend to help to bail out the bank with other investors. But it was too late by then.
Okay, hold on, Sarge. Okay. All right, now I'm not cutting into your wisdom, Sarge, because screwing around with you, man, I had to be well read.
That's why I was asking you all the questions, because I wanted to make sure I had your argument understood before I decided to respond to it. I don't mean to mischaracterize anything you guys say. I make sure I got it straight.
Okay, now, Sarge, please let me finish. Okay, the source of this information is Wikipedia. Historians believe that the bank's failure not only destroyed the savings of many Africans in America, because I am a African, because if I was an American, I wouldn't have to worry about the police killing me, but also they trust in financial institutions. The site where the bank's headquarters once stood was later occupied by the Treasury Annex. The Annex was renamed the Freedmen's Bank Building in 2016. Okay. At the end of the American Civil War, the poor economic conditions of the formerly enslaved freedmen were aggravated by the economic devastation of the southern states due to the fact that they lost that free labor right there, Sarge. This is what we're telling you. The newly freed blacks had few economic resources or capital and even less exposure to private enterprise. Many soon turned to sharecropping and forced labor in the South. Now, Sarge, if this doesn't sound like a setup, and to me, shit does not stink. To help alleviate the socio-economic conditions, the Republican-controlled U.S. Congress established the Freedmen's Bureau, passing an act of incorporation, which is a legal entity of its own, that it cannot be handcuffed, cannot be incarcerated, cannot be taken down into that police station in Chicago, Sarge, and get all whooped upside his head with the Mark Furman treatment. And a charter of the Freedmen's Saving and Trust Company was assigned in the law by no one other than Honest Abe. Okay, the Senator Blanche Bruce of the Select Committee on the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company, himself a former slave, wrote, as its name imports, the institution was designed to perform for a particular class of our people the simple but important functions of a savings bank. It declared purpose being to receive on deposit such sums of money as may from time to time be offered hereafter by on behalf of persons heretofore held in slavery in the U.S. or their descendants. Hey, more case for reparations. And investing the same in the stocks, bonds, treasury notes, and other securities of the United States. Now, all that they're saying, Sarge, you see what I'm saying? Okay, I see Joe left us. Okay, so all that they're saying, Sarge, okay, is it was the bait and switch. You see?
Okay.
The bait and switch.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, can I respond now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
And all I'm saying is
the money was not taken and diverted to other purposes. It was the money of the depositors that was lost through inefficiency, mismanagement, corruption, and fraud. It was lost. It was taken by shysters and crooks. It wasn't diverted to other purposes.
Sarge, that's my whole point.
Well, the argument was that it was taken and diverted to bail out the federal government, and no, it wasn't. J.P. Morgan did that with his own capital.
Okay, but Sarge. Okay.
Wait a minute. So now you want me to give you a ledger of where each one of the depositors, the 62,000 depositors' money went? I can't do that, Shay. Can you? I can't do that. I'm telling you, the depositors lost their money because the money was used for speculative real estate investment, among other things, which the Freedmen's Bank Charter explicitly forbade.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Most of it went to that. Not all of it, but most of the money that was lost went to speculative investments that were lousy investments to begin with. It was lost. It was not taken by the federal government and diverted to another purpose. I don't have an exact number. I know that was the bulk of it. And I'm telling you right now, it was not taken by the federal government and used for another purpose. It was stolen by a bunch of crooks, and this guy, Henry Cook, mainly, who was the biggest guy who oversaw the crookdom. But it was stolen like any other crook. Like what's his name? Enron. Or what's this other guy? Sam Bankman-Fried. Or any of these other crooks. They're no different. He was no different than any of them.
Okay, but sorry.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. The federal government did not take it to bail out the federal government. And it wouldn't have been enough anyway. It would have been just a drop in the bucket. No, it wouldn't have. J.P. Morgan put up several $1 billion to help bail out the federal government. Well, just $3 million. In 1903, I believe, when the United States government came to him and asked him for help with the deficit of the federal government. J.P. Morgan came along and gave him his own funds. And Rockefeller and Morgan, both of them were there. There was a consortium of billionaires.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but the overall point is
But it wasn't money from the Freedmen's Bureau. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, but sorry.
The money was taken by crooks and lost through bad investments. It was lost, just like any other money. When you get flim-flammed by some con artist, you lose your money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got another term for it too, Sarge. It's called bullshit.
He's asking me where it went. I'm telling you, crooks took it. Like when they break in your house and steal your money. That's where it went.
Okay.
They use it for their own purposes, like crooks always do.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, you can look. You guys are desperate to involve the federal government directly in this, other than maybe putting the wrong people in charge of managing the Freedmen's Bureau Bank. And I'm telling you, there is no direct link between the federal government and the loss of that money, other than the people they appointed to run the damn thing. Now, if you could show me a nexus between government officials and those people, then I'm willing to listen to that argument.
Okay, Sarge. Okay. The point is what I'm getting at, Sarge, overall, okay, is even to this day, the U.S. ethos, the mindset of America, Sarge, does not want to see Black people in no type of economical power whatsoever. Now, Sarge, there's a guy that you mentioned, okay, that you just love to death. Okay, and I got his book right here, Sarge. Not deeply changing the subject. Okay, it's called Life Upon These Shores by your boy, the most self-hating Negro that I've ever come across, by the name of Henry Louis Gates, who is sitting up there, man, at his own house, generational that comes up there and violates the man's civil rights. And then he goes up there, man, with old Obama, let's sit down and let's have a beer. Okay, now, I'm not getting off topic here because I called myself trying to underline some of this stuff right here during this time in history. Oh, God. Okay. Well, basically, what Gates is saying, man, is that the only way for us to get ahead as a people is to be a carbon copy of the oppressor, okay, which is counterproductive. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay, the Atlanta riot, the Brownsville raid, and the reputation of Theodore Roosevelt and Booker T. Washington. Okay, Sarge, one of your favorite guys. Okay, now, Roosevelt hosted Booker T for dinner at the White House in 1901. The meeting underscored Washington's unparalleled place among the contemporaries. It signified that the American power structure had embraced the Atlanta Compromise as its preferred policy for the future of Africans in America. 3 years later, in the presidential election, your boy Bully, Blacks rewarded Roosevelt by voting for him in droves. But afterward, Roosevelt's attention to the interests of Blacks wavered. And perhaps more important, racial violence in the great city of Atlanta in Brownsville, Texas, down there with Good in the Mud. In 1906, threatened to destroy the notion that accommodation could mitigate racial tension. Contrary to Washington's hopes, the fact that his famed speech had taken place in Georgia's capital did nothing to prevent the cruel and brutal venting of white violence on innocent black victims. Okay, and he doesn't address, a solution for this. So, however this starts, what we do, this is why we emphasize, and I'm sure Sister Accept should agree with me, of doing for self, Sarge. You see what I mean? And then going on here with the business here about this food bank, like you said, it was a bunch of crooks that hijacked the place. Who knows? Maybe they had Jesse James, Billy the Kid with them. Some of those infamous guys. You know what I mean? And I think this was a little bit before Butch Cassidy. You know what I mean? Okay, so therefore, Sarge, why is the United States afraid of the black man and woman on a collective basis forming its own economical power? And feel free to comment on that there too, Ryan.
Boy, I'll tell you one thing, Shabaka, whenever I hear the word collectivism, I reach for my revolver. I'm serious. That word collectivism, man, in the context of the United States, free market, liberty, gives me chills. I mean, look, okay, I understand people want to use it. They got a right to use whatever word they want to use. And I got a right to be alarmed by it when I hear it. We're not a collective. We're people. We have individual needs and desires. We can come together in cooperative ventures, depending upon the appeal of that venture, and depending upon the appeal up to a common interest, and we should. But the idea of collectivism makes me recoil in horror. That's all I'm telling you. It just does. I mean, look, if you're not alarmed by it, don't be. I am. And I'm always going to be, because I know what collectivism is. I've seen this terrible march through countries for the last over 100 years, and millions of people dead as a result of it, or impoverished or in starvation. So I'm alarmed by it every time I hear it. Now, if you want to talk about cooperative ventures, like when people buy stocks, people buy stocks, they don't even know the people in the damn corporation. They don't know who they are. They ain't met nobody in the factory, the assembly line, or nothing. They only know the initial price offering or price offering of stock. They look at the stock exchange and what the company's prospects are. They make a decision to buy stock. And boom, that's it. And you got cooperation there, don't you? That's capitalism. They're investing their capital in that company. Now, black people could, can, and should do that with each other. But they should do it on the basis of their enlightened self-interest and the general interest that can accrue to their cooperating with others. That's how we're supposed to do things in the United States based on liberty.
Okay. Now, but each time, Sarge, like the Black Wall Street, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this one here, Ryan, is that when we had that power, man, down there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1918, 1919, the Black Wall Street, then the United States displayed the first aerial bombardment, man, of bombing the Black Wall Street. And those were thriving black businesses, Sarge. And not only did it help the GNP of the black community, man, it was probably also helping the GNP, man, of the whole great state of Oklahoma.
Okay, now you know they weren't military aircraft that did that bomb.
There was only one
private aircraft owned by private individuals using improvised incendiary devices.
Yeah, commonly called bombs from the air. Or the
they were improvised. They weren't official munitions used by the United States Army Air Corps that bombed Tulsa or any of the National Guard units. Just want to make that clear before we go any further. If you leave that hanging, you'll say, yeah, the United States government ordered American warplanes to go bomb Black Wall Street.
Okay, sorry. Who's to say that they didn't? Except this.
Okay, I say they didn't. Now you give me evidence that they did. I say they did. Now give me evidence that the United States or the National Guard or the United States Army Air Corps participated in bombing Black. Give me the evidence for it. Because we got evidence of the private airplanes that did it. We got the evidence of the improvised incendiary devices that were used that were based on turpentine, naphtha, and tar. Now you give me your evidence.
Yes, sir. Okay. The Oklahoma State Supreme Court had stated that the survivors of Black Wall Street are not entitled to any type of reparations. And that's the government condoning it right there.
I asked you for evidence that the United States Army Air Corps bombed Black Wall Street. That's what I asked for. And now you give me something about that they're not entitled to reparations.
I just gave you indirect evidence, Sarge.
Oh, well, it's not good enough, then. I don't accept it.
Well, Sarge, and take that there with the great state of Oklahoma, man. Me personally, I think they're full of shit and it's bigoted for them to make such a ruling. And what they are doing is that they are waiting for the last survivors to die off from that, Sarge. There's only 2 left. You know that, right?
Okay, look, we know what wrongs were done. It was a massacre. People were murdered. We understand that. But you got to make it, you don't make it any worse than it is. It's bad enough that people were massacred by a mob.
Okay, but
it wasn't the Army Air Force that bombed them.
Sarge, but none of these people, man, who participated in this massacre were arrested, Sarge. Now, come on.
What do you mean no one was? No one? Well, probably not.
Okay,
hey, how many people were arrested in the summer of 2020 when all people got all them houses, all of $20 billion worth of damage was done in cities and 34 people got murdered? You couldn't identify the people who did it. That's why.
Okay, whoa. Okay, which chaos are you speaking of, Sarge?
There was chaos, Shabaka.
Okay, Sarge.
I mean, in order to bring charges against anybody in the United States, you got to get a grand jury indictment.
Sarge. Okay, Sarge. You and I both know how these kangaroo courts operate. Okay, but Sarge.
Yeah, I watched what happened to Donald Trump. I know. Yeah, I know how they work, Shabaka. You want to tell me about it?
Sarge, you love Donald Trump. Hey, man, that's your business. Me personally, Sarge, with me being an old bastard right now, okay, I will no longer be participating in any elections, okay? I did it for 40 years, okay? But the point is, Sarge, is this, man. If you're going to have any type of racial healing in this country, you cannot be telling our people, Sarge, to forget about it because, see, they...
I ain't telling nobody to forget about it, not me.
Okay, whoa, hold on.
I just say let's go over the facts as they are available to.
Okay, Sarge, we got all kinds
of... Let's not make up anything that's not rooted in some factual evidence.
Sarge, we got all kinds of...
I don't mind talking about it. I welcome the opportunity to talk about any aspect of it.
Sarge, why do you think Frederick Douglass did what he did, Sarge?
You changed the subject again. We already know what he did. He whooped his master's ass, and he got away from slavery.
He should have, Sarge.
Well, yeah. What do you want me to say? Of course he should have.
Okay, all right. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So Freddie D, as you know, we know the story of Freddie D of how he wound up in Frisco Bay. Okay, then he became a newspaper writer. I mean, I got, for the story of Freddie D sitting right here on my shelf. Okay, but the point is basically, Sarge, is this. Okay, yes, the United States needs to kick out the reparations of the debt that is owed for those who are descendants of slavery in the United States. Now, Brother Che says foundational Black Americans. Him and I disagree on that term, but one thing about Brother Che and myself, we disagree agreeably. I'm a diasporic African is because if I was an American, I would not have to worry about the police pulling me over on no probable cause and blowing my brains out. And then, as you know, Sarge, is that the police are policy enforcers and that they evolved from the slave patrollers and they have a certain ethos amongst themselves that they had passed on down to generation to generation. Okay? Now, what is all that?
Hey, man, who got that practicing their guitar scales on in the show?
Is that you, Ron?
Yes, it is.
Ron, why are you practicing your guitar scales on the show?
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm listening to all this bullshit. I'm listening to all this bullshit you guys talking.
Okay, no.
I got you. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I know, but I've been thrown to the back of the bus, and I'm cool with that. I just don't have to do something with my time, man. I'm scared of my guitar.
Okay. All right. Okay, but at the same token, though, it is this here, though, Sarge. Okay. If you are going to have any type of racial healing in this country, this shit, man, has got to be talked about, man, is because this stuff can go all the way bonkers, man, in 2025 on Inauguration Day. You see what I mean? Okay? And one thing, and I'm saying this here to Ron, too, if the reparations, man, were granted, and I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime, all it was going to do is be immersed into the U.S. American economy anyway. Now, would you agree with that, Brother Che? Brother Che. Earth calling Denver. Earth calling Denver.
I got to answer for you. Waiting for Che.
It all comes back anyway. It doesn't matter. As much as they pump into the system, it always comes back to it. Because they're using the tax system. The tax system is the best thing anyway to screw people out of money. It's a violation of the Constitution. But they don't give a shit. They don't care, and they're going to take the shit anyway. And when you guys are talking about banking, you're talking about banking, which is bullshit anyway itself. Does anybody know what the first bank was? The very first bank ever on the fucking planet was. What was that? Who was the banker? The beginning of banking. The very beginning of it. What started banking?
Okay, enlighten us.
If you know anything about history, you got to know this. What's that?
Yeah, okay, enlighten us.
What is it? No?
Okay, what started banking?
Blacksmith. The blacksmith.
Okay.
Of all people, you would never think of the blacksmith was the actual first banker. Now, here's how it worked out. People had gold and they were cashing it in. Who do you deal with? The guy that deals with metal, a blacksmith. Okay?
Yeah, building horseshoes, rifles. Okay.
Yeah, it's right. But anyway, the people were robbing each other of their gold, killing each other, going on and on about this. There was no safe place to put the gold.
Yeah, go to Hangtown, El Dorado County, California, been there.
Right, so the blacksmith, since he had all the guns and everything else to protect it, the people to protect the shit, they started giving the gold to the blacksmiths. And the blacksmith would write him a note, I owe you. That's where IOU came from, okay? I owe you this amount of ounces of gold. You get it? That's the first banking system that we ever knew about, okay? So you got to go back to the beginning. Okay, now the banking game, everybody wants a piece of the action. You know how it is. Once a fad starts, everybody wants a piece of it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So then you go on. Well, yeah, we're all criminal when it comes to greed. Greed's an ugly thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, you're talking about the Freemasons and all this other bullshit, blah, 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 blah. But I'm not going to go through all that, which I know, though. I know the complete history of banking. But let's go into the 1900s. Let's stay in the 20th century. Let's go to 1913, the Federal Reserve Act. Okay?
Right.
Now, these banks you guys are talking about, you don't know their real name. Them are names they were given. Them are not their name. Okay, like the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, most people believe they're part of the government, right? No, they're not. We know that. We all know that and can agree that it's not part of the federal government. It's a private bank. Okay, and actually, their real name is the Central Bank of England. The Bank of England.
Okay,
they came in this country twice before the Federal Reserve Act. Okay, they came here twice trying to get the party started. They said, we got the backing, we got the money, we can help you, we can take care of you, and fuck you at the same time. And you'll never feel it. Okay?
All right.
Well, we the American people.
Getting your head bumped. Where I'm from, Ron, that's what they call
we the people,
getting your head bumped.
Right. White and black. But anyway, when the black people, like you're talking about the stock market with the black people, well, we couldn't have that. No, we can't have that. So they started shit. That's what they do. They're good at that. They're instigators. So anyway, at the same time, Morgan, all these fuckers, in the big money game, they got the Federal Reserve Act started, which all them guys in one, congressman or senator or whatever signed the bill on Christmas. Nobody else was there to sign it. How could that get by with that? How could that fucking stand? It still stands today. Today, it still stands 100 years later, over 100 years later. So anyway, now we are controlled by it. And now we are so far in debt with these assholes, we can't even pay the interest on it no more. Doesn't matter how much money we pay these fuckers back, we'll never, ever be able to pay off the interest, ever. And it keeps growing. There's no stopping it, okay? Trump might be able to, if he does it right, cuts all the fat off, which is all the shit we spend for unnecessary bullshit. That's the biggest problem. We free willy with money. We just throw money at, you know? Yeah, the Freemasonry Constitution wise, I got that. I know that, bro, but I'm just saying, it's a whole different animal. They're part of all this. But anyway, the thing is, when they popped that Federal Reserve Act, that gave them the power of the money, to control the money of the people. We are sold. We're all slaves. When Lincoln fucking did it, when Lincoln said supposedly free the slaves, okay, that wasn't the real deal. He didn't want the banking system. He was their buddy. That's who he worked for. He turned every one of us into a fucking slave. That's called, income tax. You know what I'm saying? Because it came right behind it, right behind all this shit. And this shit's all pre-done. It's done before it's ever wrote in history. They did this shit. You know what I mean? They bring it in blocks later on down the line. They bring shit in. But the whole point is like I said, the income tax you're paid, it's in the Constitution. No man shall pay tax off the labor of his back. Or the sweat of his back, whichever they were. I can't remember how they were actually, but that's the point. It's illegal, but they still do it. The IRS, the Federal Reserve Bank, and system, they are not part of the United States. They are not part of we the people. They have no government connection except to loan them money. They loan the government money. That's all they do. And
okay, so basically,
so they got you under contract to pay it.
Okay, so basically, Ron, what you're talking about for all practical purposes is pimping or pandering.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's the easy way to say it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And don't even know it. You've been sold out and you don't even know it. When you're born, the birth certificate is part of it. That's part of this game, man. It's a bond.
Yeah,
and they use those bonds to get loans.
You and I talked about that about 2 years ago, man, on another podcast. Yeah, because there's a oh boy, okay, there's a red number that's stamped on your birth certificate, and I believe it has something to do with the cap.
Cuspid number. Your cuspid number.
The what number?
Cuspid number. Cuspid number. It's called a cuspid number. It's like having a cow tag on your ear.
Right.
That's your inventory sheet.
Okay.
Your inventory. That paperwork's all filed away somewhere in the inventory warehouse.
Okay.
You're part of the human. I don't know if you ever seen me do that show on human farming. I'll try to do it again for the end of BTR. I'll try to do the human farming series again because it scared a lot of people when I talked about it. But it's reality. It's just reality. It's nothing different. Don't let it bother you. Don't get all mental. I mean, don't get mental. Sarge, I'm worried about your heart, man. You need to slow down. You get you wired out too much, man, or stupid shit.
Yes, Sarge.
But anyway.
Yes, Sarge. Yes, Sarge. It's Sarge. Sometimes I worry about the guy blowing the gasket.
I get that, too. I get it, Be Wiser. I know what you're talking about. I know.
Okay.
There's a lot more to this I'm talking. A lot more.
Okay. All righty. And then our chat room is open. And we had some telemetry in there. Okay, Sister Heception. Okay, what do you have to say about all this, ma'am?
Well, what I was going to say would help me. You posed a very good question about how we should start our own business and be successful as a people, as Black people as a whole. Well, I'm going to just go off of what I learned and how I started off my own businesses. Start off with grassroots. You know what I mean by grassroots?
Yeah, that's where you start. Basically what it is where you're starting off at the bare minimum, where you're building a foundation of it. Right. And then of course, the theory being, or the comparison being, is that, of course, then you got the small sprouts of the grass that come up. You keep nurturing the grass, then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it comes off into abundance, and then you should jumpstart, a regular cycle going on with that. Am I correct on that, ma'am?
You are correct. It also means starting with the common people, the basic source support as of a movement.
Okay.
Which Islam is very good with. What I was going to say about that is that's what helped me. Because when I first started off, I didn't have a lot of money.
Right.
I just went to people that I knew first. They spread the word. And if you look at the way, have you ever heard of the way that the Master Muhammad first started his own mosque before they spread it out all the world? Well, he came here from the holy city of Mecca, and he moved here to America, and he lived with the people that he knew. And while he did that, he went door to door selling silk. And that's how he started his own business, was through grassroots, common people, and getting to know everybody through selling his own products. And the products were valuable. He made them himself. Now, use your wisdom and knowledge and do whatever you're good at, and you can make it happen. So that's how he started off. And then he saved up his own money and started his own mosque. And the mosque became business. The messenger, he met him at a church. And the messenger said, I know who you are. And then they started working together. And the messenger moved on, learned from him how to start a mosque and businesses and schools and so on and so forth. And we went from having nothing to millions of mosques all over the world that spread from America. With me, I started off going door to door as well. I followed what I was taught. You start at the age of 17 years old. Usually what I would do is I would go with a brother or sister, and we go find a call newspapers door to door. Made money that way. Then what I did was I added a product to it, a bean pie. I learned how to make a bean pie. And I learned how to make different stuff, you know? And then I added my products to the final call, and before you knew it, I had my own seamstress business. And then what I did was I went on to college, and I started college at the age of 17 as well. And I learned how to become a teacher, and I started my own school. So use your wisdom and knowledge that you get from the white man and do for self, and then put it in your community. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. Use your education to help me. That's what I started. I also use the economic, like I said, the 3-year economic program that was laid out by the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The economic blueprint, he laid out a lot of stuff that you can do to make your own money. And we have our own jobs, everything. So, that's how I did. I started off just from my own bootstraps from the beginning and went to grassroots first.
Okay, all righty. Okay, thank you, sister. Okay, so we're going to go off here into the chat room. Okay, Mac 285, by Black 100%. Yeah, you're right, Mac 285. He also stated that Jesse had stated some facts right there. Blues Unchained stated that we also have socialism. Blues Unchained, troll, Blues Unchained. This dude is good, and I don't know who Blues was referring to, and feel free to type off in who you're referring to as good, okay? Ron Reck, wrong. Ron Reck, 1913 CDE, okay. And myself, greetings, Ron Reck. Hey, Shabaka, 1913, okay. So I would imagine, Ron, that you was speaking about the Woodrow Wilson and the Federal Reserve. Okay, all right, okay. So Blues Unchained said that there was no Freedmen's Bank in 1913. Okay, Blues, we were talking about in the 1870s. Ron Reck affirmed what Blues was saying. Okay, Blues Unchained states that this is crazy. Okay, then Sarge, to you, Blues Unchained says Sarge uses Google and reads. Ron Reck laughing out loud. Okay, be wise ass. Okay, liberty is not freedom. Be wise ass. Liberty is first and foremost naval, short shore, leaving military. These wise ass serpents. You bombed the shit out of Dresden. Be wise ass serpents. It was a Masonic faction of the Air Guard. Gap. Okay. Gap. Wait a minute. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. The Gap Band out of Tulsa. Okay, Sarge is an insult to you, sir. I'm sure you've heard many of them. They stating, Sarge, that you are delusional. Okay, these wise serpents says most Americans are delusional and cognitively disassociated at low vibrational frequency. Blues Unchained, you said Sarge is delusional. Now you see, okay, these wise serpents, okay, there's no distinction between Jim Jones and Donald Trump. Okay, now be wise. I'm going to comment on that. Okay, for those of you, Sarge, you was probably there. Ron, Rick, you was probably there too. Let's turn back our calendars, gentlemen, to 1978, where you had the Reverend Jim Jones out of the Barbary Coast, commonly referred to as San Francisco, is going down here to this utopia in a place called Guyana in South America. A congressman by the name of Leo Ryan received a number of letters from his constituents out of SF stating that there were loved ones of people who were down there, that they were concerned about their loved ones. Okay. So, Leo Ryan goes down there. Okay, he makes an announcement. For those of you that want to come back to the U.S., feel free to come on the plane and what have you. So then Jim Jones starts serving the Kool-Aid, you know what I mean? And this is supposed to be a man of faith, of scripture, and what have you. So he got cyanide, the active ingredient in his beverage. And then what does Jim Jones does? He blows his brains out, okay? So he committed suicide right there. They killed Leo Ryan and things of this nature right there. Okay. Now, these wise serpents says Donald Trump forced his followers to pay for the Kool-Aid, Operation Warp Speed. Okay, these wise serpents, Americans are ignorant, cognitive dissonance. Okay. All righty, man. Blues Unchained says that he is wrong. These wise serpents. Okay, Freemasonry wrote your Constitution, and these wise serpents.
Shabaka.
Yeah,
hey, bottom line, Shabaka. You know what? One thing that's easy as hell to do is to make insults. It's a lot harder to make arguments. I make arguments. I don't make random, meaningless, unconnected insults. And look, those sort of things concern me not in the least. If it has a counter argument to what I say, let them make it. I'm willing to listen to it. And if I agree with it, I agree with it. If I don't, I'll tell you why I don't. If I don't know enough, I'll tell you I don't know. It's that simple. Okay. But the one thing I don't do is just make insults because, I don't know, out of a sense of assumed superiority or greater depth of knowledge or whatever. That's a punk doing that stuff. I'm not a punk. I'm a guy who's trying to learn. Like I said, it's like I tell you, man. I ain't got a lot of formal education. I don't. I went to community college for 6 months, and I've engaged in many, many debates. And everybody I've ever debated, I've either whipped their ass or held my own. And I debated people with degrees. They got more degrees than a rectal thermometer, and you know where you put a rectal thermometer.
Yeah, you shove it up your ass.
I'm just saying, let people make their arguments. I don't need anybody to agree with me. If you don't agree with me, that's fine with me too. But I'm gonna speak my piece, and I'm gonna tell you what I know to the best of my ability. And I think I do a very good job of that. And again, I'm not requiring anybody to agree with me. Be my guest. Disagree with me all you want to. It's not going to change anything about the facts on the ground.
Okay. All righty, Sarge. Okay. All righty. Okay. Blues Unchained says, Sarge, you can't take criticism.
No, I just took the criticism. I said, that's fine. I mean, look, I don't agree with the criticism, but whatever. I didn't hear an argument. I just heard insults. I'm delusional. I just read from Google. I mean, that's not an argument. That's not an argument or counter to anything I said. That's an insult. It's just an empty, vacuous insult. It doesn't have any, it doesn't contribute to the conversation other than just to make an attack on me for whatever reason I don't know. Look, whenever I hear let's like when you guys were saying what you said about the Freedmen's Bank, okay? I didn't say, well, look, you guys are delusional, you're ignorant of history. I told you what I know of history. And I said, this is when the Freedmen's Bank was created. This is when it folded up. This is when J.P. Morgan bailed out the federal government. Look at the difference between the years. Look at what happened to the depositors' money. There were 62,000 depositors. They put $3 million wouldn't have bailed out the federal government. Are you serious?
Okay, sorry. Like we say in the mean streets of Los Angeles, Sarge, they got their heads bumped. Okay, they've been had. They got took. They got been hoodwinked. Okay, now we have 301 right here, the last three.
Well, like I said, the bottom line is I just want to hear an argument that counters what I say. Or if you don't have an argument, say you don't know it. I don't know anything. I believe Sarge is delusional and he's an ignoramus and an idiot, but I can't say anything counter to what he says. Okay, that's fine with me. Say it, and I'll accept that. I'll accept that as being as far as you can go with it. But what I really like to hear, rather than that, I'm just saying, look, I can't compel anybody to say anything they don't want to say. I'd really like to hear somebody argue something that goes a counter to what I say. Hell, I might learn something. I don't know everything. I'm just saying that, but most of the time you will notice people don't do that when they really don't have an effective counter to what you say. They just make an insult.
Okay, all right. Well, speaking of insults, we got some insults being exchanged here in the chat room. Okay. Oblivious is not an insult. Be wise, servant.
Well, whatever. I think we spent too much time talking about me and my reaction to this. I just brought it up. I don't intend to make a whole show out of it. I'm just noting that maybe me bringing this up to them will cause them to be able to make an effective rejoinder to what I say. And then we'll have a better conversation rather than this inane back and forth.
Okay. All righty. Okay, Ron, what do you have to say? Okay, we see you saying a lot here in the chat room, man.
I'm oblivious. I'm oblivious to the fact. I'm
oblivious.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm cool to be oblivious. Well, Sarge, goddamn, take a fucking downer, man. You need some Xanax, brother? I'll help you. I'll hook you up.
Oh my God,
Sarge, I'm worried about your health really bad, brother. I mean, no, I'm white and shit, but I'm still cool. That's
okay. Look, I don't care what anybody's argument is. Make your argument. Look. Well, as long as you're making your argument, it's not disingenuous, and you mean what you say, and you can back it up with something. I don't care what it is.
Yes.
I'm not offended by anybody's argument.
I'm not trying to argue with you, though, man. I'm not into that shit,
Well, they're telling me, Sarge, to go smoke you some cannabis, Sarge. Be wise.
No, I'm not. Well, yeah, that might help. No.
He told you, Sarge, to go twist one up and light it.
Shabaka, bro, check me out, man.
Yeah.
I live in free will. Okay, a lot of people don't seem to understand living in free will means. I don't let shit get to me. I let shit go on. I don't get myself winded up in stupid shit.
Hey, Ron, you're kind of distorted, man. Your voice is kind of distorted. I don't know if it's your Bluetooth or whatever. But it's a little bit distorted.
On my mixer. I'm in my mixer board. I've been practicing all night. So, is that better? Any better?
No, it still sounds like, I'm getting a distortion.
Still a distortion?
Okay.
Any better?
All right. Okay, you sound good on this end. Okay, sister has tattoos.
Okay, I'm cool. Must be. But
yes,
anyway, man, the thing I'm saying
what do you have to say to this, man? Okay, hold on, Ron. Ladies first. Go ahead, sister. Have session. Then we're going to go back to Ron.
Go ahead, man. Right on.
Okay, I'm going to revert back to what we were talking about, unity amongst us as a people. Because you can't have a good grassroots background and a good grassroots concept if you don't have unity.
No, that's a fact.
That the messenger said in Fall of America, and I'm not saying this to be negative, but it's true. Trying to win the love of the white slave master has been our greatest mistake because it's led us to get up there.
Okay, now, like Dr. King said about the burning house of integration.
Yeah, because it's gotten us nowhere. We're not successful depending on him. We're always going to be enslaved depending on him, so we have to depend on ourselves first. And the message teaches us self first.
Yeah, self-sufficiency. Yes, ma'am.
Self-sufficiency is self first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Shabaka, look, Shabaka, I got to agree with the sister there. I never could understand why people want to seek the love of people who don't like you, or even the people who you don't know who might like you. There's something neurotic about that. What do you need somebody's love you don't know for? Isn't that what you have family and friends for? I don't need anyone's love. All I need is them to respect my rights and observe me when I behave in a civil manner. And when I come up and exercise whatever rights and privileges I'm expected to be able to have, I care less if anybody loves me. I'm not neurotic. I'm perfectly at ease with people hating me even, as long as they don't mess with my rights. I never could understand why people think they have to have somebody like them, respect them.
Let me jump into this real quick.
Why is that so necessary for so many people?
But she said the word unity. People coming together, getting it together. You know what I mean? That's what it should be.
What's the purpose of that anyway? What do we? I'm not going to come together with people who want to kill babies in the womb. I'm never going to come together with them.
Dividers. Yeah, I understand, Sarge, but you understand you got the dividers out here in this world that want to keep us divided. But as you notice, in reality, a lot of these hate groups that are out there in this world are falling apart. They're not stuck together like they used to be. People are starting to wake up to this fact. That's right, unity. That's what we all need. You know, we don't need to be, you over in this part of the yard, me over this part of the yard. You know what I'm saying? We all need to get together because we work better together is in unity than we do separate. You know what I mean? I mean, you can move a river with a bucket, but you can remove a whole lake with everybody together. You know what I'm saying? You can't just do it by yourself. It just don't work that way. I mean, black inventors in the world have never been recognized for things they've invented, which I think is a fucking shame. It's sad. It is.
Yeah, Ron, it pretty much is, man. You know.
But wait a minute, who's really self-sufficient anyway? This nation isn't self-sufficient. I mean, self-sufficient. We all got to have economic cooperative ventures with other people at some level because you don't have a metal foundry. You can't. Most people have metal foundries and forges. They can't forge things unless they're blacksmiths. And even the blacksmiths got to have somebody to bring in the steel or the carbon to put in the fire to make the steel. No one is ever truly self-sufficient. We all have to come together in cooperative effort. Look, I'm just saying, we can be united and cooperative in many things, but we cannot unite in everything. It's not possible.
Okay, Sarge. Now, Brother Che, I'm going to bring him on, and also, too, Sister Hep, I'm going to get your comments on this here as well, too. Okay. Yes. Okay, Brother Che, I unmuted your mic, sir. If you're ready to comment, feel free to do so. Okay, I'm going to mute it back. I'm hearing background noise, okay? But unmute it yourself, when you're ready to come in. Now, here's what I want to mention. Sister Hep, you're going to agree with me, and I think I know who 520 is. With the last 320. So just press 1, anytime that you're ready. Okay, President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. You know that he is nationalizing all the gold over there, right? And he pretty much told the French, the British, the Dutch, Elon Musk and his crew too, he said, you guys can go take a flying leap through a rolling donut. It's because we're nationalizing our own gold and going to start flexing our economical muscle now because all this high technology items that you got, the raw materials come from Africa. Now, your boy Donald Duck had said, Africa is unworthy. It's a bunch of shithole countries. Excuse my language, sister. Okay, but I had to say it like that to prove a point. But if it wasn't for Africa, you would not have the silicon, the chrome, the bauxite. They say this is why we play Miriam Makeba each time before, because as you know, she's from Azania, Sarge, and you and I can argue about that. Okay, but however, like Thomas Sankara did, and the French killed him for it in 1987, we're going to become self-sufficient because, Trump says, well, these are a bunch of shithole countries. But if it wasn't the resources coming there, the chrome, the bauxite, the gold, the U.S. The U.S. Western economy would crumble. Now, guess who's over there getting it dirt cheap and that they're nationalizing the land? The Chinese. You see what I'm saying? The Chinese, okay? Now, what the Chinese do, you guys, is that when they get the raw materials there from Southeast Africa, they transport it across the Indian Ocean, I believe, if I got my geography right. Then it goes up there into China. It's prefabbed, okay. All right, so what they do after they prefab it, okay, they ship it down there to Hong Kong, put it on those cargo containers, and then, ladies and gentlemen, you can go right off over there off the coast of San Francisco and watch all those cargo containers come in under the Golden Gate Bridge. I did it many of times. And then too, Sarge, as I told you, that there's a place on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge in Marin County where your man Donald Trump, who could make himself very, very comfortable at, as you know, as he carries out, you know, his administration with that term 47, I believe. Okay. And he'll be in the right place. And then if he doesn't dig it there at the state level, then Sarge, there's always that beautiful island they have out in the middle of San Francisco Bay, Sarge, where they had everybody there. Ma Barker, Al Capone, the Birdmen of Alcatraz. Oh, I gave up the answer of where Donald Trump could be made at home. Okay. Now, Trump is Trump. Okay, Trump is going to be Trump. Okay, and this is the first time I ever saw a convicted felon become the president of the United States. Okay, and then, but he is stating how he honestly feels. And there's an old saying in the streets of South Central Los Angeles that clearly states, never apologize for how you honestly feel. Okay, and we're going down to our last 15 minutes. We might as well go off into our closing comments. We'll start with Sister Hatshepsut first. We'll start with the lady first. Then Brother Che, on your closing comments, feel free to unmute your mic. Okay, then we're going to go to Ron Reck. Okay, then we're going to go to 301. Okay. And then 520, last 320, they just press one, be more than happy to unmute their mic as well, too. Okay, Sister Hatshepsut, closing comments, ma'am.
I'll end with this closing comment with a question first. What product was used during slavery that made white people rich that's still on the stock market today? Cotton.
Yeah, that part. Yes, ma'am.
And he's still rich off of that.
Okay.
He's still rich off of our work. And he's still doing something that he was doing before. It's just not as potent as it was back in those days. Now, I said that to say this. We can't depend on him anymore.
Okay.
We can't go to him anymore begging and sighing and grieving.
Okay.
We have to come amongst ourselves and unite amongst ourselves first. Unite amongst ourselves first, I said it twice, and do for ourselves. If you don't know how to do it, get with somebody who does, who has that education, who does. We must remember, like the messenger said, that we just cannot depend on the white race ever to do that which we can and should do for ourselves. Period, point blank.
Okay, thank you, sister. Okay. Now we got area code 301, last 374. We're also
I hear you. What's up?
Always.
Y'all.
Always. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with
I'm here, Shabaka.
Hey, Sister Desiree in the house too. What's up?
Brother Che, take it over, man.
Wait a minute. Can I use my Kemetic name tonight? Can I be a quick cover as on? Thank you very much, brother.
Ma'am, Brother Che is in charge of the studio right now, man. Please.
Black Power, Brother Shay, what's happening? So we're trying to get it in for the last few episodes before Blog Talk shuts their doors, you know? Yep. Where'd everybody go? Where you go, Shabaka? Well, I thought we was doing closing
okay,
comments.
all right, I'm back in here.
Oh, I got some new information for y'all, brothers and sisters, that I found out about that they didn't tell us about.
Okay, sister, what is that?
Well, anyway, so let's go back to John Worthy. Who is John Worthy, Shabaka? Because I know you can answer that question.
Who is John Worthy?
Comedian.
No,
John Worthy
back in 1917. What is his name? Worthy? Willily?
I'm talking about
whatever. Back in 1917, when he was with the FBI. Who is he, Shabaka?
Oh, you talking about J. Edgar Hoover? Okay, 301 last 3711 has dropped. Okay,
talk to the people as usual.
Okay.
Protect your home front and your neighborhoods and each other. Be good to each other, you know.
Yes, sir, Black Lightning. Okay, Lightning. Okay, 7-Eleven is back. Come on, 7-Eleven. Last 3, 7-Eleven.
Shabaka, am I in there again?
Yes, ma'am. We hear you loud and clear.
So who is he? Who was he talking about that said that? Because I know that something happened also when it dealt with Fred Hampton, but I never knew anything that went on that went down with the UNIA.
Oh, you talking about John Edgar Hoover? Oh, yeah, he was
not John Edgar. His name is John Worthy or something like that. John Worthy back in 1970.
Okay, I'm not familiar with John Worthy, ma'am, or why don't you please enlighten us?
Well, shit, I was trying to get some more information. Yeah, but the thing is, they said that he was involved in some type of, I guess I have to do a research. I was asking you guys to get clarification, but the thing is, he was involved in all or whatever, because one of the things that brothers and sisters tend to do is that, you know, you have nowhere else to run. What? Nowhere else to run now, baby. Nowhere to hide.
Okay, sister.
Now, baby.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Martha and the Vandellas. Yeah.
That brothers and sisters, they turn around because they ain't got nowhere to run, nowhere to fucking hide. And then when the brothers and sisters actually ask you these questions and address the situation, all of a sudden now, oh, they're an agent. And you're going to go back to all this stuff. I think that is being done too freely, nearly. And I think that shit needs to stop too. You know what I'm saying? Because in order for someone to even say that you are something, why don't I find out who you are? So one of the things that we need to have is our own committee all together, that when people are making allegations about our brothers and sisters, we are the ones to do the research and find out if it's true or false, regardless of who it is.
All right, sister. Okay. You'll get no arguments from me on that. Okay, Ron, we're going to ask you for your closing comment. Okay. And Sarge and somebody's exchanging insults here in the chat room. Be wise ass serpents, or be wise ass serpents. Sarge, you should remove your patriot dunce cap. Now, those are his words, Sarge, not mine. Okay, Sarge states, you just proved my point. Russia needs foreign markets to sell their commodities. Absent those markets, the economic growth is inhibited. Ergo, complete self-sufficiency is beyond the grasp at present. Now, who is being cognitively dissident? Okay, well, at least we got some intellectuals in here tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because when I host this program, I appreciate that our guests and callers and our well-wishers and our haters assume that I'm the most dumb bunniest of all the dumb bunnies, okay? That I don't know nothing, that I barely know how to tie my shoes and how to go take a urinary piss in the toilet, okay? That's how bad off I am. And I'm speaking figuratively, not literally. Okay, Sarge, you got directed to insult towards
all right,
you.
Again, I got to go back to see. I'm making arguments. They make insults. They accuse me of being delusional. Delusion implies a mental condition of refusing to accept facts that are incontrovertible and inarguable. And I don't do that. If you present me with a fact that is incontrovertible, I will accept it. But you rarely do that. You argue, you make points that are conjectural and often speculative and can be countered. So that's the thing about debate. These people don't even seem to understand what it is. They simply say, I gotcha, and therefore everything's closed. These people are the ones that are closed-minded, not me. So you better get it straight. They're the ones who want to dictate knowledge and dictate objective, transcendent truth. I'm telling you, I don't think they know it at all. I'm seeking it. And I make the arguments I make based on my knowledge. Maybe I'll get there, maybe I won't. But the one thing I don't do a priori is to tell them, hey, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. They do that all the time because I don't think they're very secure in the arguments they make. But look, let me just make their point about this generally. Okay. Again, free markets and what Adam Smith described in The Wealth of Nations is not the creation of anyone.
Theory,
the invisible hand, all of that.
I was in college reading that bullshit.
All of that.
Adam Smith can go take a flying leap through a rolling
you don't like him. Forget I said him. The free market economics. No one invented it. No one person invented it. It's not like Marxism, which was invented by a psychopath in the middle of the 19th century. It's not like that. Free markets arose organically out of human nature. That is the need of one human being or one group of human beings to need something of value that someone else had, and they had something of value to trade with them to get it. And out of that arose the free market. Nobody invented it, not white people, not black people. It grew organically out of human interaction everywhere in the world. That's why it is the best system and works the best when it is not unduly regulated. Because it arose out of basic human nature. The need for one person to have their needs supplied by another person for whom they had something of value, with which they were willing to trade something of value, whether it's specie currency, fiat currency, barter, whatever it was. That's why it works. And those are the rules by which it works, basically. And if you go outside those rules for any reason, you are not likely to succeed.
Okay.
All right, Shabaka.
All right, next one down the line.
I'll wrap this up. I guess.
Yeah, go ahead, brother Chase.
I guess that would be me. Thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. Join us tomorrow for our special edition where we'll be having a special guest.
Well, this brother Chase is on there. Can I make a comment? Am I banned?
No.
Am I banned?
No, you're not banned.
Really? Because I got banned. Look, I've been banned. Look, they don't want me anywhere. Guess who keeps me? The Black Panther Party keeps me. Well, I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about my organization. They keep me because I ain't having it. You and I try to ban me. That's why I call this Shabaka. Them motherfuckers sit over there, got people calling them names. They got them calling them names. You don't call me that name. I'm not that name that you say that I am. And they do that. And then on top of that, a sister on there that turned around and she just talked about Elijah Muhammad like that was okay. Really though?
Excuse me? 90 seconds.
Don't get disrespectful.
I wish you was on there. I wish you was on that show. Let me tell you something. Put me your email.
Oh my God, we're not gonna do this.
Oh boy. Okay. Look. Okay. We had a good show. Okay. All right, and then, as Ron Rex said, they're getting ready to shut Blog Talk down.
60 seconds.
And if still with us, we probably need to find a way to sue these SOBs, okay? Okay.
Shabaka, we got to go.
Blues are unchanged. It says here that he is not dumb. He is just unaware due to laziness. But he has made a career of fooling others on Blog Talk Radio that he's an expert. These wise serpents, not me. He just says that Sarge is just Yale. Okay, Sarge. Okay, that's my closing comment. Don't nobody hang up. We're in overtime. Okay, your closing comment, Sarge. Then we're going to go to
we got to go.
Okay, I'd like you to note again, Shabaka, they're not making arguments. They're insulting me and telling me my deficiency. They're not making arguments. I guess they can just tell you that my arguments aren't worth the time to make a rejoinder to. I mean, my arguments are so simplistic and naive that there's really no point. I have such a superior part of wisdom that, there's nothing I need to reply to that because it's so obvious you're just an uneducated peon who really is way beyond his depth. You notice they are not making arguments. They're simply pointing out what they say are my deficiencies. Now, look, I just gave a very simplistic argument of the free market. Maybe that was an unfortunate use of terms, because anytime you get government involved in this crucial activity as markets, there's going to be some regulation. And by the way, there should be some regulation because you want to have protection against fraud and criminality. So that sort of thing is entirely appropriate for governments to do. I'm speaking of a market. Wait a minute. I'm speaking of a market that is largely free to the extent that is necessary to prevent criminality and fraud, free from undue government regulation. And that, by the way, is one of the definitions of liberty.
Okay, now, Sarge, based on what you're saying right there, with every tech executive over there in Silicon Valley, including your boy,
and they don't make any arguments. They just keep making this silly info. I think they're really kind of vacuous now that the way they keep going, they keep doing it. They have no rejoinder. They don't make arguments. And they really don't notice. Every time I make a point about something, again, and basically, all these smarty pants try to make markets so complicated. Yes, it's complex when you have billions of transactions going on every day. Yeah, that is complex. But in its essence, markets are very simple.
Shabaka.
Okay.
We got to go.
Yeah.
We got to go.
Desiree drop. Okay.
We got to go, Shabaka. So thank y'all for tuning into Season 9, Episode 46 of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. Join us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Thank you, Ron, Rick. Thank you, Sarge. Thank you, Desiree. Okay. And so, Brother Che, take us out, man, with Ship Ahoy.
Okay.
And I'm going to bid everybody a good night from Sin City. And I'm calling it a night because, I got, some things to
people about tomorrow.
do. So,
tell the people about tomorrow.
Black Power, my brother.
Tomorrow we're having a special edition, so call back tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest, Dr. Christina Parks, so we'll see y'all then. All right, we're going to go out with Ship Ahoy.
Yes, sir.
And
Ship Ahoy.
Be on the lookout for Frontline Black News in less than 2 hours.
Yes, sir. Okay. All righty. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we thank everybody, for tuning in. Okay. And we're out. Okay.
Facebook. We share it on YouTube and Facebook. It's Shabaka'S Blacc Experience on Facebook, Twitter, and X.com. Facebook, like, Facebook,